Hey guys, and welcome to another video, another mix video, another long-winded, nerdy audio mix video. Hang in there, you'll do fine. I have been asked by lots of people to maybe split up my videos into segments, and but it's a flow. I like to just let it go. If I snip it up and make you watch multiple videos, I think that's inconvenient for people to try and find all the parts. So for now, I'm going to try and just keep them all complete, and we'll work out the rest as we go. Before I start this mix video, I'd like to give you a quick look at a behind the scenes video that I put up on Facebook using the Digico SD12. This is the Andy J Sound, the production company that's been helping us out because we need to socially distance. These guys have been helping us out with sets. We're basically in their warehouse, and their staff are still in training mode because there are no gigs. So this is the Digico SD12. It's running into a hard disk recording software. These guys are doing all of the lighting and everything for us. A fantastic system, wireless in-ears and everything as well. So that said, I'm going to get into the mix video, and I'll let you know what we're using on it. So all of this came from the actual recording during that time. So I have a video of this performance as well. It's Eye of the Tiger with Brad Pillane, our drummer, singing. So firstly, kick, snare, rack, floor, overheads, exactly the same as I normally do it. There's only 6 mics for the drums. Of course, we'll just pan things left and right for the overheads. The bongos, we're in the center, left and right for the congas. I'll work out and make sure that they're correct later. Bass is down the center. We've got 2 different guitar players. One's doing the crunch sound. We're going to put him left, and the clean to the right. Keys are in stereo, which I used my stereo DI. Should have showed you that one. It was a nice little buy on eBay. My vocals, backing vocals, and Brad's main vocals here. So there's not many moving parts in this mix, but it's a classic song, Eye of the Tiger, and it's not always easy to, mix a classic, especially when you're doing a cover. It's a pretty tough job. Let's get into it and see what we can do. So let's start by listening to the raw data. So there's no mix, this is just placed. Already that cymbal's got a bit of a ring in it. I've got to look out for that. So what I'm doing there is I'm turning the gain up. I've just selected the clean guitar. I'm going up here in gain rather than pushing this fader up past 0. I can see that there's some room in there, to turn it up. Drums sound pretty cool. It happens too fast. You trade your passion for glory. You can hear the congas nice and clear. Don't lose your grip on the dreams of the past. You must fight just to keep them alive. Eye of the tiger is the thrill of the fight. Rising up to the challenge of our rival. And the national survivor stalks his prey in the night. But he's watching us all in the eye of the tiger. Now, what the camera really hears, in this sort of situation, I might be able to just give you a bit of a look there. Let's just have a look at the. I think I've got the drive here. We are looking at here. We're looking at Eye of the Tiger. The main camera. Let's take the last take, say, and bring it over here. Now this will this is the iPhone on a gimbal shot by Patter McBride from Smack On Content. He's a legend and one of our very good friends. Now let's just go through and let's have a bit of a listen to the data. It'll probably be very loud, but listen. Yeah. Can't hear the singer. Now, Brad hates in-ear monitors. He hates them. And he is playing the loudest thing on stage, and he should be deaf. His pitch is fantastic. A great singer. And so he's actually doing this without any monitoring at all, singing into the microphone, playing drums. I have in-ears on myself, doing harmonies. No one else has. They're hearing their amps and everything. So all we're hearing is this. So you get the idea. All right, back to the mix. So if you're thinking about, you're listening to the mix here. So that is the key to getting a mix like this. No PA. Turn off the speakers. If your instrument has a speaker and keyboards, I ran through a tiny little Roland Cube. Tiny little one at my feet there, a little 10-inch I think it is, or 8-inch, so it's just enough on stage so people hear me. I don't have a big wedge. There's no front of house PA. This is the way that, and you're recording multi-track, this is the way to do it. That's the only way you're going to get a sound like we get. So, all right, back to the mix. Let's start with our drums and get right stuck into it. I'll just double check that everything is in its correct place. So the rack should be a little to the right and the floor to the left as we see it on the drums. I'll just listen to the overheads only. Yes, so that's right. Sounds to me the right hand and the left are right. Okay, this one's beautiful. So as I add these guys in as well, they should fit to the position. Of course, the snare just sounds exactly the same. So the kick is a Shaw beat of 52A. I'm going to upset the haters and trigger it because I just do that with the kick. It's what I do. And it will help me move on with the rest of the things. I'm going to use my setting with using trigger 2. So this is the Slate, Stevens Slate trigger 2. Cost me $49 US, I think, or something like that. It's just with my particular Kick 6 Z3, which it just comes with it. I'm also pushing an R-Bass Waves plugin that pushes 63 Hertz. It gives me that body blow. And it also gives me enough of a tail on it. So it goes boom, boom, boom. It's almost like you got your doof music where the kick has a little bit of an extra push afterwards in a rhythm. It's very, very effective. And I'm pushing another 6 dB squash using an L2. So that kick is really happening compared to instant kick. Let's move on. I'm not going to go crazy triggering other things. I may add another snare perhaps just to help it, but really the kick is really where I use that mainly. So let's have a listen to the snare. My Infinity EQ, which is a Slate, also a Slate plugin. So this one is free in the all-you-can-eat package. Now I'm just looking at the spikes here. I don't mind that one too much. More like these ones around 500 are really not, I don't like those in a snare. They're not the sound that I'm after. And even the 200 is not too bad. Look, I don't want 200 to be a feature in the song too much. And to me, look, the snare really owns 200 hertz. I think it really does. I don't like to push it too much. You can see the mic's already doing that. I do like to push the bottom end on the snare. I'll even go to an R bass, just like I had on the kick, and I'll just push the straight out 80, just default. And I'll always add some top end, especially when Brad's playing, because he uses a lot of ghosties. Just enough to get those little... That's fairly aggressive. That's 4 dB from 120k up. I like that. There's really a nice... And remember, this snare will need a little bit of its own reverb. So I'm going to go straight in there and do that. In my space designer in Logic, I'm going to choose the small spaces. Just start with rooms down to the first one. I'm going to click through them. So what I'm looking for is a sound that's going to make this monotrack sound a little bit 3D. The size of a snare. It doesn't have to be a big room. Just like you're there. Okay? So just like you're there. And remember, every one of these reverbs are going to change the tone of the drum. It's going to actually add EQ. Every reverb adds EQ. Adds something. So you've got to remember, there is an output EQ on these things. You need to adjust that. You can't just choose your reverb and without realizing that it changes the tone of something. That's not too bad. I think the best one. I think that's my one there. I can just hear. Obviously, it's going to need a bit of an EQ. I can add a long reverb to that later. As far as choosing the reverb, we'll do that as we go. The toms, I'm going to definitely straight away bust those suckers together into a bus. Call it toms, and I will group them. So this one here's going to start with toms. Looks like I've been here before. Let's get rid of a few of these. Toms, I'm going to make sure that they're soloable and editing features. So when I move these, they're going to move together, and they are going to a single fader called tom. So we're just listening to the toms now. Find a section where they're playing. I'm pretty happy with that floor tom, but the mid tom needs some work. These are Sennheiser E904s. These are really top of the line for what I, as dynamic microphones. Like, you can get some expensive microphones in the studio for drums, but out on the field for this stuff, the 900 series are just a very, very good set. especially for the money. The E904s do stay on your drums very, very well. They've got a beautiful mount that comes with them. I highly recommend these guys. I'm going to just have a listen to one at a time here. I'll need to switch off the group just for a second. I'm not getting much ring in that mic, so I'm going to leave that open. Definitely the rack has got some issues, so it's got a ring in it. Let's listen to the actual tone of the hit. So it's pretty close. Let's get our EQ out. Now I know that this drum definitely needs some more top end. It's a little bit just flat and vanilla. So looking at the spectrum here, there's something happening in the mids here, and I think that's where the nasty is. So, you know, 300 hertz, it's not really where you want the peak of it. So I'm going to take some of this out. In fact, I'm going to dip the center and find a nice little deep hi-fi sort of sound here. Already that's much better. Low cut because it's got a fair bit of ring on the track. I can hear ooh happening when there's a do is the note. Ooh. So see what I'm doing there? I'm just waiting for it to go to ooh, find the frequency. There it is. Gotta watch this EQ. You know, I mean, that's minus 23 dB. This thing cuts deep. You know, that's really improved that tom sound. I know I can do it even more in a group, but, you know, let's just go back to our floor, add a touch of tops for this guy. It's pretty good. Take off the bottom. There's probably a little bit of a sub shine in here, a little rumble that I can hear. Let's find a drum. Really where I'm hearing it, so beautiful. I think that's enough. That's all I need to really do to that sucker. Now these guys together in the group, let's just switch our groups back on and listen to the toms together. We now going to the master fader of the toms. So these guys are directed by bus 2 into this guy, a single fader. Let's go there right now. Just open up and go to our Slate digital virtual mix rack. I've been using different compression on these guys and all sorts of different tricks for toms. I have been liking to go to the FG76. So this is a preamp, a preamp module for the Slate virtual mix rack. I really like the tone of this thing. It's just such a beautiful. It's coloured, but I love it. Just finding those hits, making sure that it's not driving this guy too much. My custom, I'm just going to do my low cut there. Add my big air. And this is where I hit the compressor. So I could use the monster. I'm going to go for the distressor this time and hit it quite hard, 10-to-1. Okay, so it's in between. It's not going to be too much of a slam. So the difference between that, I'll just turn that sucker off and get the monster. Remember, I'm going to probably use the monster on the overheads. It's a quick slam, a very tight slam. So I just want to let the toms just open a little bit more. So this is the sound of our stressor. It's not as aggressive hitting, and it doesn't pull out what's in the middle, which I don't really need. I can do that on the overheads. So that's just going to keep our compression, keep our hits nice and constant. I'm going to also add probably a bit of reverb through Ascend once we set up the reverb, which we will do on the next step. So overheads. I'm not going to go back and listen to these all together yet. I think that that's just wasting my time and yours. I will now bus the overheads and put them in a group, a new group. Of course, they're going to be quantized and solo. Okay, let's listen to these guys. These were a Rode NT5s, a pair of those. Fantastic pencil mics. And Australian. So there's a boop, 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 that I'm hearing on the snare. Boop, boop, which I'm not happy with. I want that gone. It's the same as the conga, but you can hear the congas. You know, that's also going to be a conga's going to have its own track. So I also don't want the congas to be coming through these mics so much. So I'm gonna put that one back. Already, because Brad's a very direct player. He's got a very consistent sound in there. I'm going to go to my VMR. Just listening to the stereo pair on the top. I'm going to take the bottom end off because I've got the kick already, and I'm going to go hard and go to like 90 hertz. That's going to let through the kick, bass, some raw guitars, and let the individual toms and that speak through. It's just a decision in my brain. I think that that's the way that that'll go. I'm going to go for a different EQ here because I want to grab that frequency. I'm going to use the SSL type. Okay, so see what I did there? Make it a spike, turn it up, sweep it around, find your note. Woo! And then take it out. This one is great because, you can add some bottom, even though you're cutting it over here, add some bottom, around the hundreds, and that'll give you a little bit of warmth. Okay, beautiful. I'm going to go for my monster now. Throw it in on full mix. Listen to the difference in that snare and the power and snap it's got. Its crashes definitely need to be fixed. Okay. Now remember, these mics are only about a foot or so. Actually, these particular ones are a little bit higher, aren't they? So these guys are, a couple of feet above the cymbals. So, but they are still hearing a lot of cymbals. I'm going to put an EQ. Now, do I put it before all this processing or after? I'm going to try it before. Just by moving it on top of that plugin, it's just swapped their positions. So let's have a look at that frequency on the cymbal. There it is. It's after the crash that you really hear it. Don't just hit it on and wait for the crash to go and hear what's happening. That's where your opportunity to sweep is. It's the nasty mids that I'm talking about. There is one on the top. You know, you would normally DS the cymbals, which we could try as well. Let's just see what we got here. The hi-hats generally are about, to me, the real beautiful sizzle in a hi-hat's about 11K. It's that just the top end. Let me show it to you right now. I'll just go to a place where we're just playing a lot of hats. Listen to that sizzle. Really gives you a beautiful sizzle if you can make something of that. Generally, you want to do that after you're processing. But a little tiny edge in 11K will give you some beautiful hats, and it won't give you, it won't upset your crash cymbals as long as you keep your Q fairly, you know, set tight. So I'm pretty happy with the overheads now. Obviously, they're going to need a reverb. We will set that up. Let's do that now. Let's choose our bus, Rev. So this is the room, and I'm going to pop the video out and grab ourselves a reverb. I'm going to use the Chroma-verb. I'm thinking that it's probably going to be a dirty chamber because that's my fave for this sort of thing. Let's have a look and a listen. Dial some in. It definitely sounds like a bigger space than is physically on the shot, but this is Eye of the Tiger. It's epic. You probably need a little bit more. I think maybe it is a little long. I'll bring the decay back a little. That's only 1.5 seconds. It sounds like it's so much more. This dirty chamber's a lovely setting. And this is a Logic, comes with Logic, this reverb. 1 second. That's really doing it. Okay, let's move on to some more instruments. We've done pretty well. Like, before we do that, maybe we'll just listen to the whole kit. Sounds pretty good. We'll find a bit where the toms are going a bit more. See how important those overheads are? I'll pull them out and then put them in. The overheads are the life of your mix when you've got a live drummer, really, in when we're recording in this studio here. So important, and I see a lot of people mixing with them so low and using room mics and adding reverbs to individual things and putting a hat mic on instead. That can still get you a cool result. For my liking, for my taste, I like this setup. It's only got 6 mics. It really works very well for me, and it gives you that, you know, you're right there sort of vibe. So, you know, I'm loving it. Let's add the bongos on a bongo for the Star Wars fans. I'm a nerd, all right? Okay. Now, let's make sure that we've got everything in the right spot. Looks good. want to put some cool reverb on that tambourine side, right? Let's have a look at the bongos. The bongos are just on the top. And this guy here, which I can't hear because it's bust. Let me give you back some output. This one definitely needs some EQ. I can hear a whoo up there, like a tabla sort of style harmonic. Ooh. I want that gone. That's much better. I'm switching to mono over here. You're hearing it in stereo, but I'm switching to mono to make sure I can hear this. Ooh, and there's some huge bottom end over here that, 20 hertz. I do not need any of that. It's, there's a bass amp next to it. There's a lot of warm coming through. And these congas, they're Beta 57As, these guys. Now watch me suppress the actual frequency of the conga. Just a little, because it's around that danger zone 230 zone, and it's in a few mics, it'll come out. I think the top's good. This is the conga, the higher one. Steve will, our percussion player, would be telling me that that's not the conga. The bottom one's called conga, and the top one is called something else. I'm sorry that I don't know what that is. Please don't hate on percussion players. The bongo mic isn't really doing much, right? I don't think there's not much banger, but it and the conga mic, I'm thinking that what I might do is I'm going to get rid of the bongo mic. Bear with me. I'm going to make a copy of the conga mic, and I'm going to low cut it, way low cut it. I'm talking, I'm going to take this, guys, so it really only hears tambourine, all right? Okay? And that's where I'm going to put my beautiful plate reverb. Let's go to the Slate Digital. I'm going to need that to be a stereo track. Let's start with... It's not going to give me the same ones. I'm going to need to make it stereo first. So let's do that first. Let's... I can always hit the stereo. Let's see if that's going to give it to us. The verb suites are going to be there. Anomaly. Okay. Just hearing the wet reverb here, but let me just tell you, like, I'm already imagining it's got a lot of pre-delay. It's about 100 milliseconds pre-delay. Let's just go through some types here. We've got... Ooh. See that splash back with the pre-delay? It's really where I need it. That's going to help me get that tambourine out there. I really need that front and center almost on the snare. Now the rest of these guys, just the other two mics, I'm going to bus together, and I'll call that percussion. These two together. I won't set them to a group because they're still individual volumes, but I will put an EQ on in case I need to change anything in the bus, and I'm going to give it its own reverb, which I get out of the Space Designer. So I normally go to medium spaces in rooms, perk room. This one here is the one I liked. It's almost like our signature percussion sound. Let's add that tambourine in. If I get this conga here to share that that long reverb, it would probably help. I think rather than inserting the verb suite, I could put it in a long reverb, or copy its setting. I'm not sure. I've got plenty of DSP here to do that. I think I'll just rely on our normal reverb. So our room. So let's just add the room reverb. This is our dirty room reverb. Listen to the percussion and that bongo mic together. Okay, it sounds like a pretty wet sort of mix, but I think that we're pretty good there. Let's now just solo drums and percussion. I've just basically lassoed the whole lot and press the S for solo button. It's starting to sound pretty epic. It's very wet sounding. Wet as in there's a lot of reverb on there. Epic track, so I'm going to keep it wet. I'll back them off a little perhaps, just... Pull back the percussion a touch and its reverb just a touch. And I'm definitely going to add some of that reverb room to the toms. I'd like to get those toms up. I'm going to hit them with an L2. I will start using the L3. L3 users, yes. Yeah, just bigger toms, right? Pretty good for 6 microphones on the drums, and a couple of 57 style ones on the congas. Adding in the bass. This is coming direct out of the GK Gallion-Kruger GK600 head. Canon XLR straight out of the back of the DI. I'll just give it a bit of a punch up in dB level up here. Just... Alright, so let's have a look at it. Now, I know I play with the bass and, in the end I just reverse it and run it dry most of the times, because that may not sound like a strong bottom end bass, but it has so much character, and it always does serve its purpose. Remember, a bass guitar doesn't run down to 20 hertz, or in fact my kick owns 63 hertz, so I don't want the bass guitar down there at all. I used to run a high pass filter and cut off the bottom end of my bass guitar at about 70 hertz. I did it for a while, and I decided that I didn't want to do that anymore. But just because some little overtones and sub overtones in the bass, look, it shouldn't live there. There's 42 hertz here. There's a fair bit of action there. hertz is really some action that, you know, a lot of CDs are mastered, you know, starting to roll off at 50, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. You know, that's where most of the action is, around 100. So let's keep it dry, keep it flat, add it to the mix and have a listen how it sits. Just level match it. Kick is the winner down at 63 hertz. It's the beef. It sounds now like the bass is bigger than it is. You heard it by itself. It didn't sound big and fat, but now it's in with the rest of it, and it has its slot in the frequency. My master's really kicking it over there. I'm definitely going to need to get a Slate virtual mix rack with my master setting. Have I given you guys my settings on Slate yet? Probably not. Trimmer, pulling that back. Sounds pretty big. All right, now we're getting into the guitars. This one here is probably the hardest part of mixing this song, I think. Setting up a delay for the clean track. Let's go there first, because not going to spread these guys too far apart. In the original, there's a lot more overdubbed crunch, and you know, there's probably more than one of these. People have complained that the original clean line was out of time and stuff, but Dusty has set his amp just on the edge of dirty, clean and dirty, which I really love, that AC/DC point. And he's playing a Les Paul. Unfortunately, there's a bass amp right next to his amp, so find a point here where his amp is here on the corner, and there's a bass amp right there, so it's getting a lot of bottom end. The 57 on the I think that was on guitars, yeah, SM57. That's hearing a lot of that bottom end, so I'm gonna need to get rid of that, filter it straight out. I'm just gonna need to get down the bottom here, and let's find where that bass disappears. Well, we know where it is, right? It's 100 hertz. Let's now find the frequency of the bass. It takes a fair bit out of our, of body, out of this sound, but that's okay. I'm going to chorus it. I'll add a little bit of body somehow as well. Back, just a little bit of thickness back, probably using in the VMR. Let's just go through and just add the bomber. There's a couple of different ways, but I really like the fat setting in this because it also gives it a compression lift. Okay, I need this guy on the right, but I need him on the left too. So I'm going to add two different elements. One, a slap delay. I love my waves. Super tap. This guy set on slap Elvis. Unbeatable. Switch off the center. And let's play this guy through. So I've got a slap delay pushing it over there, not too much. And now I'm just going to add my reverb room that I've created, the dirty one. It's happening. Now remember, this is where we came from. Let's right. Took the bottom off. We chorused it. Fattened it. Slap delay. Reverb. And that's how we got our sound. So that gives it a whole new shine and a whole lot of life. You could probably do a little bit of top end as well if I need it. But, you know, it's doing its job great. It's got a lot in that microphone. It's in a funny position. That's our fault, but I think it's pretty good. So when he does play crunch chords, I really probably want that extra EQ to help out the crunch. Remember, guitar amps don't give you anything over 6K, really. I'm going to go for a single band EQ here. I'm going to high cut it at 6K. The green bullet doesn't give you more than 6K. Guitar amps should not be run over 6K. Sounds good. Let's get to our crunch. Amazing player Stefan Hauk. He's doing a great job on this track too. Especially in his little solo part. To me, because he's the only crunch guitar, I'm going to need to lift him up. He's got a beautiful tone in there. It's pretty raw. There's probably some high-end elements that I'd want to change a little. I'm going to flip to mono again so I can have a good listen. I really love where it's at. There's some just a little top high mid that I know is going to be in trouble around the vocal. Around here. Just a little. I think he's going to have enough bottom end. Let's just listen to him with the other guitar. In fact, I'm going to bust these guys together to a fader. Bust them. Just going to call it EG for electric guitars. Now, a lot of this, the reason I'm going to do this is so I can see the level of both of them together. Especially when they're playing together. So I can see, you know, there's a lot more action in the clean mic, but I can see through this bus here the balance between the two guitars. And of course we have a solo, so I'm going to clone my track, make a duplicate track, find the beginning of the solo. Throw that solo down there. Make sure we've got a quick in and out fade. And out fade on this sucker. A little in fade on that. Don't want any clicks. Push him to the center. This is the solo. Now this particular one's going to have VMR. It'll definitely... you don't want that one. We want to go for the SSL's. Got the best EQ for guitar. Absolutely. Little bit of nose. Some more bottom ends. Look, 100 hertz on that'll be good. I don't think we need to do anything here. We definitely want to get our bomber. On fat, push it good. And compression. Now, the best one's probably my red little partner here. Now, the FG's a beautiful sort of vocal compressor as well. Every single one of these has a different tone as well, so you've got to watch out. Let's just give it a go. Pushing this because compression is where I want it. I want that solo to be perfect. In your face from the start to finish every note. Okay, now here comes the hard part. Making a delay that's going to be in time. We don't work with a click track, so I'm going to just dial in a delay. Stereo delay from Logic. Mono to stereo. Comes in mono, splits. And let's have a listen to what we got here. So I'm listening for a right, I'm listening for that little bit there where I can catch the delay time. Okay, so I've got my single my 2 count. Let's just half that. 910, 460, 455. Let's give it a go. Push up the other side. I'm going to give it a fair bit, but I'm going to put a reverb straight after the delay. So I'm actually sending it to a reverb as well. I would prefer to use the Verb Suite, Slate Verb Suite in this one. Let's just hear the default. Be mindful of your EQ on these things. Like really, you know, you can go, wow, is that really, I've got control over the mids. You may want that, but you know, let's put it in the mix and see what that sounds like. Tambourine with reverbs work. pretty epic. I think that's pretty cool. In fact, that the bus where I put both those guitars, I could probably put a compressor or a pusher, an L2, something just to make sure it's squashed and a little bit more in your face, just a touch. Okay, keys. Now on this keys track, I did a little bit of cheating before I started this session, and I reversed a couple of notes. So what happened was I hit a low octave going boom, and it was a lot like, if I can find one, that. And I reversed it so that the first one was in that same sort of reverse sound that we use. Just to give that little, just like the original. I could have done that effect on the keyboard. I thought I'd do it on the recording just to help out. Remember, this is in stereo. Now, I like that little shimmering thing on the stack, but I'm not sure how it's going to carry on some of those quick notes here. It sounds like Christmas bells to me, so... I think what I would probably use is, under dynamics, an enveloper. Let's try and just cut off the end of them. It's a little bit aggressive. I suppose it's probably something I would perhaps chop. I really want a reverb to take that, so let me use a reverb for now and just have a listen. I want to keep that shimmering top end in the sound. I just don't like it ringing like a bell too much in the intro. Maybe I'll like it, let's see. I'm going to want to cut it out. So this is what I'll do. Slice it out. Just like that. Make sure you put a fade in there. Ding, ding, ding. It's really the last one. Going to cut them short. Cut them short. There, cut it short. Just so I don't have that sort of little, jingle bell thing happening. That's it. There's one further along as well. Let's just go through here and mute, or even just pop them out. Go to our fade outs. Little fade ins. That's... So you're really hearing the reverb from the crash and a little bit of reverb from the keys, but it's not jingle bells. That happens at another part of the song. I'm not going to worry about it there because the song's sort of flowing along. So as far as EQ goes, I think the keyboards are okay. me singing my backing vocals. There were no backing vocals in this song originally. So me singing some was, it took a not sure whether it was the right thing. I think it worked. Let's give myself a little bit of push here. Of course, Slate, VMR, some reverb, and definitely a little bit of EQ after the VMR. Let's go first to here. Let's pump up the trim. I'm using my favorite little preamp sound here, my FG76. Give it a touch of the dial. Not too much bottom end. I'm using a Sennheiser vocal. It's a E945. That's a wireless, I think. I think that's what it is. E945s. I don't need to mix this as a backing vocal group, so it's just one single in there. Still not quite loud enough. Hey, it's me. I can give myself a little bit more level, right? Not always on mic there. It's a little bit crazy. Rocking out, man. The keyboard player. Oh, that's very funny. So I'm probably going to need some compression to make sure that I get those soft notes out as well. Let's just go crazy. Let's push out this compression a little bit more. That's pretty cool, let's add in Brad. Now, Brad, he's in the center. I haven't pushed myself too far off to the left. Brad's voice, and remember his microphone's got a fair bit in it. Let's just listen to it by itself.
Rising up and back on the street, I did my time, I took my chances. I went the distance, now I'm back on my feet. Just a man and his will to survive. So many times it happens too fast. You trade your passion for glory. Don't lose your grip on the dreams of the past. You must fight.
See what? That's a preamp that I just popped in there, a different sound, and straight away the character in his voice has changed. Great preamp.
You trade your passion for glory. Don't lose your grip on the dreams of the past. You must fight just to keep them alive. It's the eye of the tiger, it's the thrill of the fight. Rising up to the challenge of our rival. And the last known survivor stalks his prey in the night.
It's his voice has a nasal edge, but that's going to help it pop out. And I've got the echoes of the original singer as well. I'm going to still push some EQ buttons here. I'm just going to work and see you can follow me.
Of the past, you must fight just to keep them alive. It's the eye of the
I want to introduce some bottom end, right?
Don't lose your grip on the dreams of the past. You must fight just to keep them alive.
Trouble is when you add bottom end to a dynamic mic like this, you get the dynamic, the proximity effect, the pop right on the mic. You don't want to go too far with your bottom end.
It's the eye of the tiger, it's the thrill of the fight, rising up to the challenge of our rival. And the last known survivor stalks his prey in the night, and he's watching us all with the eye of the tiger.
Look at the bottom end down there.
Face to face, out in the heat. Don't lose your grip on the dreams of the past.
There's a couple of little moments where Brad will
It's
sing
the thrill of the fight, rising up to the challenge.
up to the right.
Rising up to the challenge of our
To me, I'm going to pop out. I'm going to take those out.
rising up to the challenge of our rival. And the last known survivor stalks his prey in the night. And
So when I listen, I'll just listen through and make sure that there is no little moments like that.
rising up and back on the street. I did my time, I took my chances.
There's one. Take my solo off.
Chances. I went the distance. I went the distance. Now I'm back on my feet. Just a man and his will to survive. To survive. To survive. So many times it happens. Your passion for glory. Don't lose your grip on the dreams of the past. You must fight like eye of the tiger, rising, it's the thrill of the fight, rising up to the challenge of our rival. Surviving night, and he's the tiger, out in the heat, staying home. They stack the odds until we take. With the skill to survive.
Hey, it's my creative license to do it. I just think it's just more
High of the tiger.
lending to the actual
Up to the
original to do that, just because the original singer had that.
stalks his and the last known survive.
Let's just make sure.
Tiger.
Pretty sure I was.
The eye of
That's all good. Okay, so I'm not sure why I've cut all of this. It's probably a little key command I've done. Bam. That's cut them all individually, like in every couple of bars. I haven't changed, haven't put in a cut since there. So let me just grab all of these guys. Just open him up. Okay, I know right now that's I would definitely want to go into a volume, because he is the drummer and he's right on. I'm going to want to put a volume draw, so let's follow. Let's drop when he's not singing.
rising up and back on the street. And from the times you pay, limbs by light, it's the thrill of the tiger. Face to face.
I don't want him to be the tom mic in that, in that plant. There's another one right here. Of the tiger. So I'm just going to make sure that all these little guys are out. I'm not going to cut them real deep, but that's cut pretty deep. There's a solo by the looks. Then he's into the last verse. There's a little bit of a gap in between here. Some snare hits in there. You don't want to have them. Here's another one of the tiger. The eye of the tiger. So these have got our little gaps in between. It's just making sure that, you know, my mix and the compression on the overall mix is going to really be king. On, you know, it's going to, you won't notice that I'm dipping his vocal here. I'll have a bit of a, ooh. Well, he's singing there, so it is what it is. Let's probably can drop the vocals like this. All right. I'm going to put everything on. Let's have a listen to the way his level of his vocal is. Let's just pop it in. Going to need more. Yeah, I won't hit it with L2 yet. I'll keep that there. Let's just have a look at the VMR. Okay, I was too loud. I fixed it. It's coming together. We're getting close now. Let's have a listen to the top. There's a little to the right. Percussion's in there. I think the guitar needs to come up, both of them. And I think the keyboards are hitting that last note a little bit too early. Let's go to flex time. And polyphonic flex time. Oh, sorry, that's the bass. I didn't mean to do that. Switch off the bass, sorry. Keyboards. Here they are down here. Let's go to polyphonic flex time on these guys. And at the end of that, here's our kicks. Let's have a look at where the last one is. Oh, it's maybe just a little bit early. So I'm going to just make him a little late. I think this guy here, the one before, is a little early. Find our kick drum, mark it, come down. No, it's okay. Okay. Hearing it in lovely stereo. I'm hearing it nice and soft in mono, so I can get the level matches for everything. Definitely want to just bring up those congas right at the beginning because they're really unusual. I'm going to leave them up. Great big gap here where we only have one guitar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the automation of our clean guitar here, and I'm going to pump this guy to the center. Sorry, not on volume. I'm going to use pan. All the way through to when they split apart. So I'm going to pan Dusty's clean guitar to the center until pretty close to center. Just to keep them alive. Until they split apart. I'm going to find any other bits there where that happens. Maybe the only one. Solo. Hey, look, during the solo, I don't really want it to be in the way. Let's just leave it there. Over here, though, he can definitely go to center after the solo. And I think they're all good from then on. You know, when the guitar's by itself. Rising up. It's got the slap delay and the reverb on it. It's going to be, you know, and chorus. It's going to sound like it's swimming around a bit. It's a pretty cool thing to do. I could even chop out that like that, but I don't mind the ambience. You know, there's probably not much in that. All adds to the vibe. Okay, I think we're almost there. I'm gonna just do one more thing. Gonna take a risk and stick my foot over the cliff. I'm gonna duplicate the snare track. I'm gonna put one just grab a copy of it. I'm going to grab the gain and I'm going to push it up. And I'm going to add a trigger. Now let's have a listen to the snare by itself. Well, it's hard to really, you know, the snare by itself has so many elements. Let's have a listen to the kit. Okay, for now that's our snare. I'm going to find that woo, woo, and kill it. Don't like that. This particular sample that I've got in here is not a really hard hit sound. It's really just an addition. Don't want it on a lot. In fact, it's just here. Let's just pull a fader down and listen to it without it. Just going to add a little as I go. Make sure that this sample has reverb in the same room as the snare. All the ghost hits are still from the actual original snare mic and the overhead, so you can hear the that he's playing. This is only just capturing the big ones, right, when he hits the main snare. I'm going to push the kick, I'm going to push it, and I'm going to go to the master and make sure we're not pumping this compressor here too much. Face to face, out in the heat, hanging tough, staying hungry. They stack the odds till we take to the street for the kill with the skill to survive. It's the eye of the tiger, it's the thrill of... Quick whip around my speakers as an EQ on the master before I pop it into Lander for the mastering. I love it. That's really good. That's the first time I've done that and gone through and not really start carving stuff in. You've got to be very careful. But hey, even just looking at the frequencies that are coming out on that analyzer. So notice how the kick is giving that boom, 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 boom upstroke after with a little tail on it. And remember, that's 60 hertz. You know, below that, there's not much track in the mastering. It's going to probably whip that out. That's him. Bounce it out. I think that's just fantastic. We'll just make sure that we've got the ends tailed off right. That worked pretty well. I hope that you had a good time. I'm sorry that these videos are so long, but hey, you got to do what you got to do. You got to start from the beginning and go through to the end. I'm using a condenser microphone to talk instead of my lapel, and I hope that worked out for you guys a little bit better. ADK A6. Love the microphone. It's very nice. FM, $5 cash. My VO voice. I hope you guys had a good time. I did. I love making these videos, and I only hope that there are other nerds out there who find this stuff interesting. I love doing it. I've got a great job. And to all my friends in America, crazy, crazy world happening over there. We're with you guys and thinking about you constantly. You guys are just a huge part of our audience, and you know, you're not alone. We love you. We love you. I've got to go do another mix. I'll see you next one.